Hi, Paul here from Trekitt. Today we're upstairs in our new equipment showroom, which is upstairs in the Hereford shop. And it's a really good space for our customers to come and have a look at tents and bivvies, some of our camping equipment and furniture. Just allow you to get inside the tent, put a tent up, see how it all works, look at all those little details, and actually give some time to really assess the product prior to making that vital decision to buy. So today I'm going to talk you through the MSR Hubba Tour 2 tent. Now this is a tent designed for touring, there's a bit of a clue in the name, and it's the perfect tent if you're going to be using like cycle touring, or you're going to be doing some extended backpacking where you're actually going to be living in the tent and using the tent maybe as a base camp. Here's Murphy. The thing we really like about the MSR tents is the stuff sacks. And it's a really simple thing, but it makes a massive difference to getting the tent in and out of the bag. So instead of a normal draw cord opening at the top where you're rolling the tent up and stuffing it in, this has got a duffel style opening. So you've got two compression straps around here, quick release buckles, and then you've got a draw cord. When that's opened up, you can just tip the tent out like that. Really easy, and it makes packing up easy as well. Okay, the inner tent stays attached to the fly sheet. You can separate it out for drying, or if you just want to use the fly sheet on its own, but it comes pre-attached to the fly sheet. So the first thing to do is to peg it out. Okay, to pitch the tent, simply lay it out on the ground. The tent comes with the inner attached, so the whole thing can go up as one. So what you need to do is locate the 4 pegging points, and these are easily found with the grey webbing with the red alloy buckles on, and peg those out nice and tight. And this is kind of pegging out the inner tent, if you like. These are on the corner, so make sure these are nice and taut. Then the poles, unlike other MSR models in their range, the poles go on the outside of the tent on this one. So it means that you can pitch the tent in the rain without the inner tent getting wet. The main pole section comes as a unified set of poles, and you simply slot them all together and you end up with the main frame. Then on the 4 pegging points that you've got, you can see the little alloy sliders. Pop the end of the pole in, like so, and again down there. You can start to see the shape of the tent. You've also got the same alloy buckles on the top, and they go onto the pole to give the ridge. Like so. The other pole you get creates the arch of the vestibule. Again, slots in, it's a single pole. And that slides into the red sleeve over the front. Like so. And you've got the same alloy buckles. Got one end in there. And all you need to do is peg out the front and make sure that's secure. So once you've got the pole through on the vestibule there, just pull that up, give it a little shake to get the tension right, and secure that with your peg. Last thing to do is to attach the clips on the fly sheet to the poles to lift the fly and the inner up onto that pole section. Okay, so here's the Hubba Tour fully pitched. With a hole through here, you've got the external pole section there. Very quick and easy to pitch. With a bit of practice you could probably get down to about 3 to 4 minutes. It's a nice secure tent. All of the pegging points are adjustable and the pull points, so as your fly sheet gets wet it tends to stretch a little bit, go a bit baggy, so you can go around and tension that up. And there are plenty of guying points here, all attached around and on the key points on the frame as well. So if I come round, with a guy point here, here and here. So loads of guying options for really windy weather. Okay, this is quite a roomy tent. There's lots of space in here, and if you're using this in warmer weather, condensation will form inside the tent. That's inevitable. It's a natural process. When we're hot, we've been hiking all day, we're warm, we're sweating, we get in a tent, and the air cools around us on the evening. That cool air and that warm air will meet inside the tent and it will condense. So the trick is to try and get as much air flowing through the tent as you possibly can. So with the Hubba Tour, on either side of the tent, you get these little vents here with a Velcro closure. So in really nasty weather, windy, wet, horrible weather, you can close those down, make sure none of the rain gets in. But when it's warm and muggy, you can open these up. And there's a little bar here, a little stiffened bar, which hides away. And you can Velcro that to the underside of the vent, and that just keeps that open. So you get loads of air coming up through here. So same on both sides, open those up, get lots of airflow. It's also a good tip not to seal the tent up at night, unless of course it's absolutely throwing it down with rain. So if you know it's going to be dry or it's just a little damp, try and keep the doors open, try and keep the vents open, try and pitch the tent so the air is moving through the tent, and that will really help to reduce the condensation build-up. This is the main entrance into the Hubba Tour. It's on the one side of the tent, and a really good feature around the doorway is this rain gutter. So it's just a stiffened piece of fabric which runs around the outside, so any moisture running off the fly sheet hits the rain gutter and is diverted away from the zip and from the door, so if you're getting in and out of the tent, you're not getting dripped on. Let's have another look inside. The door will roll away, keep it secure. You've got a tab on the outside and a loop. You can just feed that through and secure it. And a really nice feature here is you've got a mosquito net panel just tucked away on the inside. So if you want to make sure that you're getting good ventilation but you're keeping the bugs out, you can close the mosquito door, keep the air flowing, but keep the bugs out. And that just rolls away to the side when you don't need it. Okay, let's go in. So here I am inside the Hubba Tour. I'm 6'3" and I can sit up in here quite comfortably. It's not a massively high tent, but that's great because it keeps the weight down, there's less fabric, and it also gives it a lower profile for the wind. And as you can see in this extended storage area, the front part has a built-in ground sheet. So you can keep your pack, your boots, whatever, off the wet ground, keep them in this section here, still giving you plenty of access to get into the tent. And there's also two hanging loops here, so you can keep things off the floor. We've got our black diamond light, just to illuminate the tent at night. Okay, so what we've got in here, we've got two full-size sleep mats, we've got a Thermos trail mat, large, and we've got an X-Bed Sin mat, 7 medium. So you can see that you can get two adults in here with full-size sleep mats nice and comfortably. You can also see that the bathtub ground sheet here, this waterproof fabric extends up and gives you a waterproof seal. And we've got the door rolled away to one side. If I just zip that up, I can show you the mesh section in there. You've got a mesh section up at the top, which helps with breathability and also helps to keep those bugs out. I'm 6'3", I'm tall, and there's stacks of room in here. I've got about another 40-50 centimetres above my head. This gives me plenty of room, and I can get somebody in here quite comfortably with me. So for two people, this is really spacious, it's nice. I can sit up in the inner tent. There's actually more height in the inner than there is in the vestibule, so you can sit here and just chill out after a hard day's hiking or cycling. So inside the inner tent, you've got plenty of storage options. At this end of the tent, we've got 3 mesh storage pockets, which are segmented out to keep your bits and pieces in, keep it all organised, stop those bits and pieces getting lost under your sleeping bag. And at the other end is just one large mesh pocket you can stuff in clothing or whatever, just to keep it safe. There's also webbing loops up on the roof here. You can use those to hang a light from, or you can string up a gear loft. And up at the top, you can see you've got some more little mesh sections here, which you can pop in whatever you want. Put your car keys up there, your phone, your alarm clock. Really useful storage, all really well organised. Keep the inside of the tent nice and neat and tidy. So at the back end of the Hubba Tour, you've got another entrance here. And you can see when you've got this pegged out, it forms a small space. Not massive, but you could certainly put muddy boots in there out of the way. And when you unzip this, it just gives you access to the back of the tent. You roll that door out of the way, or you've got a double zip on there, so you can open that up for ventilation. Get plenty of air moving through. So we can open up the whole back of the tent, and you can see here you've got loads of, gives you a great ventilation option. So it's really nice warm weather. You don't need that weather protection over the back of the tent. You can open it up completely, and that's going to get the air flowing through here to reduce that condensation. It also gives you a separate access into the sleeping area. So when the two of you are using it, you're not clambering over each other, struggling through the front area to get in. So one can come in that way, one can come in this way. Just gives you loads of options. And again, if it's a nice evening, it's nice and blowing, nice and breezy, it's nice and warm, you can open this all up, get all the doors open and get lots of air circulating through the tent. Okay, so when you're taking the tent down, make sure you get all the doors done up, and literally just the reverse of what we did before. So once you've got your poles and your tent down, just make sure you pack these away nicely. Now what you don't want to do is have the poles clacking together, because the narrow part of the pole hitting against the thicker part of the inside will damage the pole. Because there's elastic in there, there's a danger of it doing that, and you don't want it to do that. So just when you're taking it apart, just make sure those poles aren't colliding too much. So just work your way down the section. When you're removing the single pole from within the sleeve over the porch area, it's really important not to pull this pole out. If you pull, what can happen is the sections can separate like that, and they can come together and pinch the fabric on the inside and make it really difficult to get the pole out. Or worst case scenario, those sharper edges can actually tear the fabric. So the safest and the easiest way to get the pole out is to pull the fabric onto the pole and push it through. So what I do is just rest the pole against my hip, pull the fabric onto the pole, onto the last section of the pole. Then you can just pull that off the end, like so. Hey presto, nice and easy, no struggling, no damage to the tent. And then fold that pole up nice and gently. There you go, all done. So once you've removed all the poles and the pegs and you've just got the fabric lying on the ground, I'll just show you how I like to pack my tent away. And I've been doing this for years, ever since I was a lad, and it's kind of worked for me, so I just want to pass on that advice. What I tend to do is flip the tent over, so all the wet fabric is in contact with the wet ground, and if the ground sheet is wet, which is the red fabric here, it gives you an opportunity to dry that out, or just leave it exposed to the sun to help it dry as much as possible. So you're keeping the inner tent away from the moisture. And what you can do then is you want to try and get the tent shape into a square so it's easy to fold. So on this particular one, I've fold the vestibule over the top of the ground sheet, straighten that out, and I'll bring this into the middle. And again, I'm keeping the wet fabric in contact with the wet fabric, and keeping the inner tent dry as much as possible. Fold that over again. So I've got a nice easy shape to roll or fold into the bag. And just to make sure you've got the right kind of size, pop the bag on, and if that's about the same width, you know you're ready to go. Don't forget your poles and your pegs. Pop them at one end, roll it up, spreading the air as you go. And because this bag is so easy to get things in and out of, pop it in. That's it. Over with the protective flap. And do the draw cord up. And then you've got the compression straps, just to keep it safe. That's a really neat package. Now if you're in a hurry, you're not quite so careful, and you just want to shove the fabric into this bag, you can do it. It works easily if you're moving on night after night. But that's a nice, simple, easy way to keep the tent protected.